Welcome back, fourth grade mathematicians. If you do not have your math workbook and a pencil already out in front of you, please go ahead and grab it now. And I'd like you to open up the workbook to the 2 pages that you just completed, which was pages 301 and 302. Okay, you had 4 problems, and I've chosen 2 of those problems where I'm going to go over the answers. So we're going to look at problem number 2 and problem number 4. And what you had to do was, for each problem, there were 4 different ways that you could start the problem. You had to choose 2 ways that you wanted to work the problem out, 2 different strategies. And what I told you in the last video was, try one strategy that you already know how to do, but then the other strategy, let it be something that maybe you're not as good at that you want to learn about. So that way you'll have a multiple array of strategies in your tool belt, okay, so that you can use those. All right, so let's look at the first one. The first way that we're going to practice this problem is we're going to say 847 minus 600. Now, where did I get the 600? I got it from the 652, because that is what we're going to subtract from 847, but I'm breaking it apart into each place. All right, so 847 minus 600, that's basically saying 800 minus 600, and that gives us 247. Now I've subtracted the hundreds place, so now I have to subtract the tens place. So now I have to say 247 minus 50. Now, I can already see your brain's working like, oh my gosh, it's more. 50 is more than 40. But think about the video you just watched. You can break apart that 50 into 40 and 10, because 40 plus 10 is 50. And I can say 247 minus 40, which is 207, minus 10 more is 197. So now I have 197. I've subtracted my hundreds, my tens, and now I have to do my ones. So now I have to say 197 minus 2, and that gives us the great answer, the final answer of what? If you said 195, kiss your brain, because you got that problem correct. Now, the next strategy I'm going to look at is with that U.S. standard algorithm, the traditional or the old school way. And we always, always, always start in the ones place when we do it this strategy, okay? And also remember, if the bigger number's on the bottom, you better borrow, and you borrow from the next door neighbor, okay? So we have in the ones place 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2. I could do that. I have 5 left over. Then I go straight to my neighbor, the tens place, and I have 4 minus 5. Now don't turn that problem around and go 5 minus 4, just flipping those numbers. No, don't ever do that, okay? It is 4 minus 5. That's a little bit tricky. I can't take 5 away from these. I don't have enough because the bigger number's on the bottom, so I better borrow from my neighbor, the hundreds place. Now, does my hundreds place, the number on the top, does it have enough that it can give me one group of 100? Sure it does. It has 8 groups of 100. So I'm going to take one group of 100 away from the 8 and make that a 7, but it's really a 700. And the one group of 100 that I took away, I'm going to give that group of 100 to my tens place, which already has 4 tens. So now I'm adding one group of 100, so 100, plus 4 tens, 40 together. And that gives me 140. Now, I don't want to write 140 because I've already taken care of the ones place, so I don't need to put that 0 there. I'm just putting a 1 and a 4. Now, I don't want you to think that this little number up top, this notation, represents 14, because that's not right. And trust me, you're going to be asked a lot of questions about that. If it's in the tens place, remember there's the imaginary 0 that comes right behind it. That 14 really represents 140. Okay, so now I have 14 minus 5, or 140 minus 50. And that is 9, or 90. And then I'm going to go to my hundreds place, and I have 7 minus 6, or 700 minus 600. And that gives me 1, or 100. Aren't these the exact same answers? Yes, they are. Very good. All right, so let's take a peek at problem number 4. Now this time, my first way, because we have the problem of 3,363 minus 1,418. This way, I decided to take that lower number and count up until I get to 3,363. And I'll tell you a secret. This is the way that I do it in my head. This is how I do mental math. I start with a smaller number and I count up. I count forward. I add. And then I figure it out that way. It works for me. That's the way I see it in my head. So I'm going to try to get to that friendly number. And I'm asking myself, what do I have to add to 1,418 to get me up to the very next friendly number? And I know that I've got to add a big chunk. I've got to add 82. And when I add 82, it gives me 1,500. Now, my goal is to get to 3,363. So I've still got a lot to add, okay? I don't want to add 2 more thousand, because if I do that, 2,000 plus 1,500, that's going to give me 3,500. That's way too much. I only need to get to 3,363. So I think that I'm going to start off by adding 1,000. So now, I have 1,500 plus 1 more 1,000, and that gives me 2,500. Okay, but I've got to get to 3,363. So I'm going to try to make it to the next friendly number, another 1,000. Okay, not add another 1,000. I just want to get to the next 1,000, 3,000. So I need to say 2,500 plus 500. And that gives me what? 3,000. I'm getting close. All right, now I'm at 3,000, but I still need to get to 3,363. So I'm now going to add another 300, because I'm trying to keep my friendly numbers. And when I add 3,000 plus 300, that gives me 3,300. And then I'm going to add my 60. And that gives me 3,360. And then I'm going to add my 3. And that gives me 3,363. Which is where I want to get. Now I got to find out the answer. Remember, if you're going to do this strategy to find out the answer, all of these numbers right here, you have to add them up. And what I would suggest is you start with a bigger number and add that way. And then mark off the number after you add it. Okay? So I'm going to say 1,000 plus 500 is 1,500. 1,500 plus 300 is 1,800. And then I'm going to say 1,800 plus 82 is 1,000. I may have to write this to the side so I don't forget it. It's 1,882. And then I'm going to go ahead and add this 3 so I can get to the next number. So 1,882 plus 3, and that gives me, I got to get down here. That gives me 1,885. And now I've got to do the 60. That's going to take me somewhere. So that gives me, see if I can write it so you guys can see it. That gives me 1,945. So 3,363 minus 1,418 gives us the grand total of 1,945. Whew, that was a lot of steps. Let's see if that works. Let's do it with the traditional way, the old school way, the U.S. standard algorithm for subtraction. All right, what place do we always start in? If you said the ones, nice job. So we have 3 minus 8. The bigger number's on the bottom, so you have to borrow. You're going to borrow. You're going to borrow it from your neighbor, the tens place. And you look at the number on top. So he has a 6. Does he have enough to give me one group of his tens? Sure does. So 60 minus one group of 10 is 50. But you don't put a 50, you put a 5. But that really means 50. And then that group of 10, you give it to your ones. So you have one group of 10 and 3 ones, and that gives you the number of 13. Now, the bigger number's on the top. I can subtract this. 13 minus 8, that gives us 5. So now let's go to our tens place. We have 5 minus 1. We can do that. The bigger number's on top. So 5 minus 1 leaves us with 4. All right, we've done the ones, we've done the tens, now let's do the hundreds. We now have 3 minus 4. Uh-oh, bigger number's on the bottom. I can't take 4 away from this. And don't flip it and say 4 minus 3, that's wrong. Let's go to the neighbor. Let's go to the thousands place. Do they have enough where they can give me at least one group? Yeah, they do. They've got 3 groups of 1,000. So I'm going to take away one of their groups. So how many does that leave me with? How many groups? Leaves me with 2 groups of 1,000, because 3 groups minus 1 group leaves us 2 groups. And it's in the thousands place, so it's really worth 2,000. Now that group that I borrowed, that I took away, I got to give it to this guy. And that's in the hundreds place. So I'm taking one group of 1,000 and adding it to 3 groups of 100, and that gives me 1,300. But do we need to write that big number? No, we don't need to put all those zeros. We've got our answers here. So we just put a 1 and a 3. And to the eye, that looks like 13. But it's really, really, really important that you know that that 13 really represents 1,300. All right, so now 13 minus 4 is 9, or 900. And then in the thousands place, 2,000 minus 1,000, or 2 minus 1, is 1,000. Put your comma. And our answer is 1,945, which is exactly what we got right here. Okay? All right, so for the rest of the day, your assignment is you are going to, after this video, work on page 303, which is called Solving Subtraction Problems. And then after you complete it, you're going to take a picture and send it to me through Class Dojo. If you're not on the internet, then you're going to keep that page and turn it in on Friday when you come to drop your items off, okay? There's also 2 other videos that will help you with subtraction that you're going to work on today. Make sure you watch those. And then you have an exit ticket, okay? You have an exit ticket. It's on Canvas, but I've also included a half sheet for you as well, okay? So that is it for now, and I will see you tomorrow when we start talking about, do I add or do I subtract? All right, bye for now.